They're at 4.
That's my point. All right,
So.
you can win 4 games over 500 is 83 and 79 at the end of the season. All right, that's not a team that scares me in the playoffs. But you know what? They're in the playoffs.
You know who's playing the best divisions? Well, at least in the National League West.
Yeah,
You have L.A., you have Arizona, you have Colorado.
absolutely. And San Francisco's been terrible this year. But
yes, they have. But so is San Diego. They're pretty bad.
San Diego's rebuilding again. But that's my point, is that you can win a division by being mediocre. You can't win a wild card by being mediocre. It's impossible.
No. But if the Mets were to take 3 from the Washington Nationals, which would be maybe right now.
You're reaching already.
I am reaching, but you know what? Sometimes you have to reach. And, you have to say, I'm going to take that.
You have to step up.
Well, you have to step up, as Tim likes to bring up when he writes columns. Think about it. The Mets would be 41 and 43, and the Nats would be 47 and 37. So we're starting to close the gap on if the Mets won all 3.
Close the gap on who?
On the Nationals.
Oh, stop.
They're 8.5 games
There's
behind.
Not even a chance that they're catching the Nationals.
They're 8.5 behind. Atlanta's ahead 6. They're 6.5 behind.
Yeah,
the Nationals.
catch Atlanta before you catch the Nationals. All right, come on. That's
By
ridiculous.
the way, do you think the Mets are going to sign Big Sexy?
That's the other.
I think they are. I'll tell you why.
The other theme in Metland.
That is, first of all, we even though he had a really bad year. Let's be honest.
Awful.
First of all, he's playing down in Atlanta. I think that was a problem with him. Second of all, I think right now, since he's going to be out there, basically he's been released.
Yeah. Well, they have to wait.
Right.
Because if any team that claims Cologne in the next week, I think it is, they have to assume his salary. Nobody's picking it. What was it? $13 million or something like that? Ridiculous.
We know the Mets are waiting.
Crazy.
We know the Mets are waiting. So once the wait is over, I really think the Mets are going to take him. It'll be a cheap deal.
It'll be a minimum, prorated minimum, $535. So 3 months. You're talking about less than $300,000.
Right, and
it's a risk worth taking.
I would definitely take it just because they need something.
They need the depth, and they need an arm that can possibly help them. Now,
you okay, brother?
Yeah, I got a little cough going. If you look at, excuse me, if you look at Cologne, obviously this season has been a disaster.
No, it hasn't.
All right, but if he can give you anything, the one thing that Cologne is going to be able to give you, and he's given everybody throughout his career, is he can give innings. And the Facebook Live just died. So if he can pitch effectively, if whatever mojo he had with the Mets, if he can resurrect that, then obviously it's a great signing because the Mets still have so many injuries with pitching, and they can't do anything because their depth. I mean, Gesellman was terrible, and he's now on the DL. Seth Lugo has been okay, but really the only reliable pitcher the Mets have had is DeGrom. And Wheeler was turning back into a reliable pitcher before he went on the DL. He had 2 atrocious starts, and then he was diagnosed with some kind of shoulder thing, and he came back the other day, pitched only 3 2/3 innings in his return, but threw like 82 or 85 pitches or whatever it was. That's a lot of pitches for 3 2/3 innings. So Cologne, if nothing else, would give them a guy who could eat some innings. And with the rotation that they have right now, they certainly need somebody who can do that because their starters have been, for the most part, a disaster. And what was supposed to be the strength of this team has turned into the reason why they're 5 games under 500. So, I don't know like we were saying before, the Mets have the chance to make up some ground this week. Like I said, the Cardinals have not been a very good team this year. The Nationals, pitching-wise, the Mets are catching a couple of breaks. So
how many wins does he have to get to top Juan Marichal?
I have no idea.
Is it 245?
I have no idea.
Because Cologne's at 235 win-wise. So.
He still needs a handful for sure. And whether or not he gets them, I don't know. Because even if Cologne comes to the Mets, there's no guarantee he's going to start. He might wind up working out of the bullpen and be like a long relief guy. You know, I would think anyway that the Mets might want him to pitch in middle relief and maybe get a couple of games in and show he can put some zeros up, because all he did in Atlanta was
244.
Was throw gasoline on the fire.
He's 9 wins behind Juan
It might be 9 wins he's not going to get. That's a
That's
long
true.
way to go for a pitcher.
Yeah.
9 wins. I know it doesn't sound like much, but there's a half a season left.
Yeah.
For him to get 9 wins in a half a season, that's
it depends
big
if he's in rotation or if he's a reliever. If he's a reliever, he could get it. Probably better than if he were to be a starter.
No, that means that.
Because if he's a starter, he's going to do the thing, well, we're going to go 6 innings. Okay, bye.
Yeah,
You know,
so.
Well, Bill Madden 2 weeks ago in the Daily News, he's back in the Daily News, wrote a great article about how the pitchers today can't even go past 6 innings anymore. They almost refuse to pitch them after 6, for the most part, because of that 100-pitch crap.
Well, that's how the game has evolved. I mean, it's not 100 pitches. I mean, plenty of pitchers go 110, 115.
That's still too short.
It's not too short.
It is.
Go out and throw 115 pitches as hard as you can.
Well, don't throw them so hard. Throw it at 95 instead of 100. And also,
you're so missing the point.
Didn't you post up on Facebook about how the pitcher should be doing the weights the way they do?
I wrote that they shouldn't. First of all, not even pitchers, baseball players in general. And this I didn't know about the Mets until the other day when Ron Darling, and that's something else we need to talk about, is Ron Darling ripped the organization on the air for all the injuries. And this
something's going on.
This is something that needed to be said and finally was said. But from what I've read since Darling's comments, the Mets have basically a football guy in charge of their weight room. And he's got these guys lifting heavy, putting on bulk, which is the worst thing for a baseball player.
Right.
First of all, baseball players need to lift weights. I'm not going to say that they shouldn't. But back in the day, I mean, we're talking back in the 50s, baseball players didn't lift weights.
They didn't know what weights were.
No, they knew what weights were, but lifting weights made you bulky. And baseball players should never be bulky. The whole Jose Canseco, Mark McGwire, all these guys were so jacked because they were on roids. You can't be jacked as a baseball player. You can be muscular, but you need flexibility. Flexibility is a key for a baseball player.
A month and a half ago, Madden, he loves going to Tom Seaver. He's friends with him for a long time.
Probably has a few bottles of Tom's wine.
I'm sure he does. Matter of fact, he went to Tom's vineyard to talk to him.
There you go.
Which is a great way to get for the paper to pay for you. Anyway.
Seaver's got Lyme disease, so he's not traveling much these days.
Okay, maybe that's why. Anyway, Seaver brought up a great point. He said him and Nolan Ryan both had this. They both, first of all, they didn't do a lot of weights, dumbbells.
No, back then,
But
no.
everything they did was for the lower part of the power.
The legs.
The legs were where the power came in the pitch.
Yeah.
And these guys aren't doing that.
Well, they are, but
they're not doing it the way Tom and Nolan Ryan, was one of the great pitchers. Well, I shouldn't say great pitchers because he had his problems. But
he had command issues, but he was one of the great pitchers of all time. He threw 100. When 100 wasn't a thing that a lot of people did.
But everything he pitched from was from his legs, his thighs, and his legs.
That's the key. And Seaver has maintained that for his I shouldn't say his entire career, basically his entire life.
Right.
Is pitchers get power from their legs. And too many pitchers nowadays don't understand that aspect of pitching. And again, this is the problem that I have with the Mets and their training methods is if what I'm reading is correct and they're lifting heavy weights. First of all, pitchers should never be lifting heavy weights.
No.
All right? You should be lifting to build muscle and to build strength, but not to build bulk.
Well,
NFL players want to build bulk. They want to be heavy and powerful and you build, it's almost like building a shell around your body to protect yourself from injuries. Baseball players need to, I would, if I was the Mets, I would put some form of yoga into my training regimen because I want these guys to be as flexible as possible.
Well, also, I think the other thing, if you are bulking, and obviously if we're hearing this, it's happening, you don't throw 100 miles an hour because the bulk can't handle that speed.
And that's what happened to Syndergaard.
Right, so you throw it at 90 or 92 or something slower.
Well,
that
97.
Way, 97's still fast.
You need to if you have that natural ability, you can't just let it go.
You know, who should be the coach, the strength coach of the Mets? Bring in David Wells and a couple of pizzas, because here was a guy who probably
then the training regimen would be drinking beer.
That's right. And look, say what you want about David Wells, but he could probably still go 3 or 4 innings.
But Bartolo Colon. I mean, you can make a case. You can make a case for fat pitchers and say, all right, well, hey, these guys, they didn't get hurt and they had rubber arms and I mean, they're freaks, is what they are.
Right.
But there can be, you can make a case for saying, all right, you know what, this guy, he was able to do it in his career. So, there's no right answer for everyone. I'm not gonna tell Noah Syndergaard to go out and gain 40 pounds and start drinking on game days. That's not the way to do it. But like for a guy like Steven Matz, who has such a problem staying healthy, you have to look at it and say, all right, is how he's training contributing to his injuries? And we don't know the answer to that. So that's a big problem for the Mets.
Right.
They need to reevaluate their training methods.
And right now we're at the All-Star break. It's next week, but this is where the Mets make their move. But in the last few years, it's not just been this year they have to do it, but the last few years this has basically been the same team.
They need to start winning games soon is what they need to do.
And when they pick up Bartolo, I think it'll just change the attitude in the clubhouse with Bartolo Colon. I think that's going to be the main thing.
Maybe. Which
I think is very important, because this team's just kind of drifting.
Well, what would change things is starting pitchers actually putting together some good performances and putting together a few. Like Steven Matz tonight, he's pitched well since he got off the disabled list. But with him, you're always wondering, all right, when is he going to get hurt again?
Right.
And he is Matt Strasburg tonight. That should be a great pitching matchup. We'll see. I'm kind of looking forward to the game, but at the same time, the Mets have such a long way to go to be relevant again. I mean, still 5 games under 500. So let's get to 500 first, then let's pass the Braves, and then let's start maybe talking about, okay, maybe the Mets have a chance at a wild card.
I'll go with that. We're going to call it the end of the show, my brother. Always good having a show with my brother, even when we disagree about certain things. Nice wearing a Mets shirt, of course.
It's a flag shirt. It's an American flag shirt.
It's
not a Mets shirt.
You used to be a Met fan.
It's not a Mets shirt.
I remember those days. We have a picture of you at Chase Stadium.
Yes, brother.
Anyway, coming up next at 11 o'clock,
misguided.
Good Gold with Big Ed. Keep it tuned here, WHPC HD, Garden City. And if you want to hear this show or any other shows from the Press Box, go to Spreaker.com. It's right there.
Crank it up.
The Yankees win 27 world titles.
Johan Santana throws the first Mets no-hitter.
David Tyree makes a catch for the ages.
Willis Reed walks out onto the garden floor.
For more great sports moments like these, be sure to tune in to all of our fantastic sports shows.
From the Press Box with Rob and Tim Leonard, Monday mornings at 10.
The Home Stretch with Anthony Tardamella and the WHPC sports staff, Tuesday evenings at 9.
Sports Talk with Chris Muldoon and the WHPC sports staff, Thursday evenings at 9.
And Beyond the Game with Jacob Valk, Brandon Johnson, and the WHPC sports staff, Friday afternoons at 3.
All of these excellent shows and more are on the voice of Nassau Community College.
90.3 WHPC.
WHPC HD.
Garden City.